I am so stoked about this keyboard, you guys, and I actually wanted to share with you guys my top 5 favorite books from 2021.
Good evening, this is Dr. Kev.
Hi besties, happy 2022. This is the very first Life Unfiltered vlog and I'm super excited. I actually have lunch plans today, which you guys know I don't ever leave my house, so kind of a big deal. When it's the New Year's, I feel an immense amount of pressure because I don't know if anyone else feels like this, but I always set like crazy goals for myself every year. I feel like the goals from the previous year are basically erased when a new year starts, and now that I've hit 25, I feel like I have an incredible amount of pressure because everything that I do now is far less impressive simply because I am in my mid-20s, if that makes sense. The year did not start off on the best foot. I did have to spend it alone, and it just didn't feel like a normal New Year's because, you know, I'm by myself out here and Kevin had to work and it was snowing. Like, there was just so many things going on. I am excited because I do want the Life Unfiltered vlogs to be a little bit more jam-packed with actual insightful content for you guys. I want to be able to share with you guys like the books that I love reading, like what I'm learning in the moment, my skincare routine, like all these things that I just haven't showed you guys yet. So we're gonna start there. So I did finally get my hands on the Pinkgasm blush that Madison Beer uses that has been super viral, and she really is so pigmented and as pretty as everyone says she is. By the way, I did cut my own curtain bangs impulsively at the end of last year. I just watched a YouTube tutorial, but they're actually kind of cute. I kind of do like them. I'm still learning how to style them. Okay guys, so I literally whipped out this big ring light so that I could show you my new desk setup. So disclaimer, she's not the like aesthetic blogger setup. I tried my best, but this is what we have so far. So in 2021, I was like, I have to get an external monitor because it will just make me more productive. So this is actually Kevin's old monitor. I am so stoked about this keyboard, you guys. It has the Cherry MX Brown switches, and this is the Ducky keyboard. So she ASMR sounds so freaking good. I do my makeup over here, so everything is kind of messy. I've got like mirror and all of my favorite skincare essentials. Behind here, I do have like all of my pens, my mild liners, etc., my washi tape collection. Inside the cubby of my desk, that's where I keep all the books that I read, and I actually wanted to share with you guys my top 5 favorite books from 2021. So actually, before I show you this, let me just show you how I read books. So I personally have a really, really bad memory. So if I don't take notes of what I read and come up with action items, and I feel like reading a book, like it goes in one year, it sounds really good, and then it goes out another. So what I do for each book is I actually like write down the name of the book, the author, and then I go through and write out like a summary of the most important lessons that I take away from this book. So Atomic Habits is she's kind of a thick book. Out of all of that information, I have basically like 4 pages of notes. Maybe this is like the psychotic nursing student in me, but I just have to have everything written down so that I can refer back to it instead of having to like flip through the whole book again. But at the end of every book that I read, I always write a summary. So what were the biggest takeaways that I learned from this book? And then action items. So how can I actually apply this book to my life? I got this little journal off of Amazon for like cheap, like $7, $8 or something, but it's life-changing and it has all of my kind of thoughts and learnings from there. Lucky doesn't really care that I have my 5 favorite books that I want to share with you guys. Lucky! Good boy! You guys were asking why we call him Buttos, but I feel like you guys can all relate to like calling your dog a bunch of different names, but Lucky is his real name. Then it turned into Buddy as a pet name, and then it turned into Buttos. Actually, Lucky wanted to join us for this segment. Starting off with book number 1, we have Atomic Habits. It's like a very staple book that I read at the beginning of every year, but it basically teaches you how to actually make identity-based habits and make them stick. I'm sure we can all relate to the fact that, you know, every single year we're like, oh yeah, I want to be healthier, I want to be more fit, but how to actually execute that and make your habits stick is much more difficult, obviously. I guess I'll share like one big lesson that I learned from each of these books. One of the biggest lessons I learned from Atomic Habits was to make it easy and make your habit accessible. So for example, if you're trying to floss more often, then make sure that the floss is accessible. Like now I have a transparent container where the floss sits so that every night before I go to bed, I can see it exactly where it is and I don't miss it. If that means like investing in something that makes it easier for you to stick to good habits, and that's completely worthwhile. So for example, our like front entrance areas was always like super messy, but ever since I've invested in a like 3-tier organizer, now we actually have designated places where each item should go. Okay, so that's book number 1. If you have a hard time sticking to your habits, I highly recommend. This is such a good read. I actually even follow James Clear on Instagram because he just has some really awesome tips. This one is How to Win Friends and Influence People. Now, I feel like I have always called myself like an introvert and I'm not good at dealing with people, etc., which is kind of ironic because I work in healthcare, and no matter what field you work in, really, you have to be very good at dealing with humans if you want to be good at your job. And this book really changed my mindset on how you should approach an argument, how you should win people's approval, and how you can actually get people to agree with you even if they initially didn't. Like truly some life-changing quotes and material in this book. They list out many principles about how you can actually get someone to be on your side when you are, trying to make a point. So for example, the book actually starts off by talking about the 6 ways to make people like you, and principle number 5 really stood out to me, and it's talking in terms of the other person's interests. So I think a lot of the times when we try to have a conversation, we are very selfish and we want to talk about ourselves and what's important to us. But if you want people to genuinely like you, then you have to be interested in what they're interested in. You have to talk in terms of what they would want to hear. Like you have to put yourself in their shoes, and you want to make the other person feel important. And I think, yes, like in theory, we all know that in our heads, but actually seeing the words written on a piece of paper and reminding myself. Another principle number 6, you want to make the other person feel important and do so sincerely. So instead of using like really strong words, you can use words like, I'm so sorry to trouble you, like, would you be so kind as to, would you please? These are things that kind of soften your ask and make it a lot easier for the other person to say yes. Highly recommend, especially if you're an introvert and you don't feel like you are a people person. This one is called Love for Imperfect Things. This is a really good like coffee table book or a book for the bathroom, whenever. So the book essentially has a bunch of like really short, not like poems, but just like really short little sections that you can read to kind of motivate yourself, ground yourself. And the book is divided into different sections like relationships, empathy, family, etc. So there's like basically like quotes and words for every situation that you've been in. And if you're ever just having a bad day, I just flip to a random page and read something, and it really just like brings me back down to earth, if that makes sense. Here's a random one that I flipped to. No matter how good a relationship is, it is inevitable that it will change over time. A close friend may move to another city, or a family member may pass away. Your circumstances too can change. But don't let this make you too sad, because when one door closes, another one always opens. Just like really good scripture that speaks to your heart. This book even actually has a sequel that I bought, but I actually ended up gifting that to Patty and Raph. And then next up, okay, this is a completely different category. I recommended this throughout the year now, but it's the Little Book of Common Sense Investing. If you are looking to get into investing, this is one of the most highly recommended books on the market. But my mentality about investing is that I'm not a day trader. I'm not trying to check in, check out like all the freaking time. I want to set my investments on autopilot and let them do their own job without me having to worry about it. The best thing that you can invest in as a dumb investor, which actually I think in turn makes you the smartest kind of investor, is index funds. Now, index funds are things that track things like, the S&P 500 or the total stock market index. Like it just depends what kind of index fund you want to invest in. But this book teaches you what index funds are, how to invest in them, what the best techniques are, and what the performance looks like. It's a little dry in the beginning, I'm not gonna lie, but it's definitely a good read. And then finally, if you are struggling through any sort of personal development, any personal growth, which I think anybody who is in like college in their 20s can definitely relate to, this book is called The Subtle Art of Not Giving an F. And I've read this book probably 3 times now. It's by Mark Manson. There are quite a bit of cuss words in here, which I think actually add to the kind of vibe of the book, and I really appreciate it. But if you don't like reading cuss words, don't buy this book. I think it really helped me manage my expectations for what my life should look like. But anyways, highly recommend this book. It just gives you like a raw, honest perspective on life, the kind of situations that we all have to deal with and how to overcome them with a great mindset. But yeah, those are my top 5 for 2021. I have been reading a tremendous amount in this past year because I feel like reading is the only way you can expedite your learning without making these mistakes yourself, right? Like I'm learning from other people's teachings, which I really, really appreciate. I also just feel like it helps me have better conversations with other people. It takes my mind off of technology for longer periods of time. So I actually have a goal to read at least 1 book a month, which I think is a very reasonable goal for 2022. If you guys have good books that you recommend, please, please, please drop them down below because I am making a list for this year. Okay. I'm back to looking like a potato, but I'm editing a sponsored post and it's a big project and this video is probably gonna take me 5 hours to edit and it's due tonight at midnight. So here's the thing, like I always submit things on time, but did I procrastinate a little bit on this project? 100%, but we're gonna get it done. Okay, update, it's been about 30 minutes of editing and I actually love it. I think this project turned out so fun. Like once you start doing it, it's really not that bad, but it's the act of starting to do something that like you're kind of dreading is the worst feeling ever. But it's actually such a cool project. I can't wait for it to go live. Guys, okay, couple hours later, I'm about to send out the drafts. Okay, ready, clicking send. Yay! Oh my god, I actually even finished before Kevin came home, so that's awesome. I'm gonna heat up the food for him because we're having leftovers tonight, and then have a big night of lots of planning, but Kevin's got notes to finish too, so it's gonna be good. I'm super excited because it's Monday, which means that there is a new episode of my favorite show, Our Beloved Summer, which if you haven't been watching this K-drama, it's literally so good. I'm pretty sure it's like my favorite one of 2021, so highly recommend. Oh wait, you guys, I have to show you the Studio Ghibli bathroom that I've been working on. Okay, so this is like very, very early stages, but so we do have the Simple Human hand soap dispenser. So she needs to be charged by battery, but she actually works like electronically, which is so cool. I did get this super duper cute Studio Ghibli mug. This is from the Kinokuniya bookstore. These little guys I bought while I was in Japan. Actually, my mommy got them when we were in Japan. But, okay, it's coming together. My towels that I ordered like a month ago finally came. These are also from Kinokuniya, which I believe is actually the only like official Studio Ghibli like vendor in the United States. But that's where we're starting. This is actually the guest bathroom, so it isn't like the bathroom that I normally use, but it's slowly coming together and I'm super excited. Part of being a homeowner means that I can decorate things the way that I want to, and it's like actually worthwhile.
Good evening. This is Dr. Kev. I'm here writing pre-op emails, which means that I have to write to our attending like the plan for the patients that we're doing surgery tomorrow on, so they actually let me do part of the surgery. So the better you write this email, the more likely that it seems like you're prepared to do the surgery that is planned. There's a lot of patients tomorrow, so you gotta look things up.
I'm gonna make my desk white. I think I want the white desk back. I just like, I want what I can't have, you know? Do you know what I'm saying? final finished product of the aesthetic setup, or at least the start of it. I still need to put vinyl wrap on it, but I think it's a start. It definitely like opens up the space, which I really appreciate. But that's the end of this vlog. I hope you are having a good day.
Hi. Bye. Hope you had a nice time hanging out with Miki without me because I'm the busy.
That's the end of the vlog. Don't forget your 10 out of 10. Don't let anyone ever make you feel otherwise, and I'll see you guys so soon. Bye!